Well, hey everyone, we are back with a market recap. And I know you're probably sitting there thinking it's about time. It feels like it's been forever. But before we do that, I have some more Dragon Tester photos to show you. Last video, everybody hadn't submitted their photos yet, so I'm going to show you the last of the little beauties that were made, and we're going to do that right now. Aren't they so cute? They are so stinking cute. And everybody did a fabulous job. I can't thank them enough. It was like hugely helpful. And obviously my typing skills are like way rusty. And there were a lot more corrections that needed to be made than I thought. Some of them were just little typos. Some of them it was like the wording. Some of them it might have been spacing, or I put a capital where I shouldn't have had a capital letter, or, you know, things like that. Just the finishing, polishing touches. But yeah, so that pattern is done, and it is listed in my Etsy, and I just can't thank you guys enough for all your help. So we went to market yesterday, and this is the small little market that has, you know, that can hold 12 vendors that I go to quite often. And it's not anything where, you know, I'm not going to get rich. I'm probably will never make, you know, $1,000 or anything there, but it can be fairly decent. You know, you're gonna make some yarn money if you need to buy more yarn just to like soothe your shopping habit. You're gonna make the yarn money there. So I did fairly decent yesterday, and it was actually the busiest I've ever seen the place. And don't mind the glare in my glasses from the windows in front of me. It seems like no matter what I do, I get glare in my glasses. But yeah, so as I was saying, it was the busiest I've ever seen it. The only thing that I can think of that was different was, well, a few things. There were not a lot of events going on in the area. Like the weekend before, they had 4 huge events. Earth Day, some 420 celebration, and we all know what that's for. I forget what they said the other 2 were, but they were really big events that would draw people away from the area. So they didn't have any of that going on this weekend. Plus, this is the first time I've seen it where every single spot was filled. All the inside, all 4 outside spots. And the coordinator decided to have the food truck set up like directly across from where the outside vendors were. So if anybody was pulling up for the food truck, or because those canopies were like highly visible from the road, I noticed a lot more people were coming in through that entrance from where the outside vendors were. And then the hotel was also full. They had some big wedding party there. So there was a lot of people in there. Now, of course, there wasn't a lot of kids, and we need kids when we're doing these plushies. But I still did decent. So I spent the whole week last week, because I was working on my pattern, and playing with making my own dragons. And then, well, that was actually the week before. So like, it was like, I think Saturday night, late Saturday night, maybe Friday night. I don't remember. All my days run together. I think Friday night, Thursday night. I don't know. One of those nights, I got to make a little bitty eggplant, just like so I can scratch that itch to be able to crochet. And then the next night I had started on this pattern test, I guess you could call it, for Elise, or no, not Elise, Elsa at Sutures and Sketches. So this is her first written and published pattern. So she had asked Sue, Heather, and myself if we would like to make it and, you know, like help her if there was anything confusing with the pattern. So there were a couple of things that I got confused with, but for the most part, it's pretty well written. She has like an extensive sewing background, and she's like trying to convert that sewing background into the crocheted plushies, only because with sewing, which she's more familiar with, it takes a lot to make the pattern like for scale, and so that someone could like print out the pattern and put it on the fabric and cut everything out. But she came up with this really cute mouse, and it's big, and he's just cute. Let me show you. Okay, so he's a good size. See him compared to my head? And he's got his little eggplant, which wasn't or isn't part of the pattern unless she adds it to it. But it was like a little bonus thing. She showed us pictures of hers and it was holding an eggplant. And I'm like, I want the eggplant because it makes it look so cute holding something. But yeah, she's got a couple of things to tweak on it. You know, word it a little different to make it easier to understand. But it's a nice pattern. And he turned out so cute. I did in Parfait Chunky Toffee. And I forget, purple. Yeah, this shade of purple. Iris. And then I used sage green for the leaf, or the, whatever you want to call it, the top of the eggplant. And then I had just a little bit, and I was getting concerned, of this cream color left that I had gotten from Hobbii. And I was getting concerned because I did the ears and I did the arms and I did the feet, and then you get to the tail and I was like, oh, am I going to have enough? It's not going to look right if I don't have enough to do the tail. So he turned out really sweet. So this is like the only thing that I made for an entire week. That just blows my mind. Just blows my mind. Okay, so back to the market. They changed their hours. So instead of 11 to 4, it's 10 to 3, which is nice because the hotel does breakfast and breakfast ends at 10. So the hope was that those breakfast people, which flyers were passed out to them all, would come on into the market area. And with the food truck across from the outside vendors, I just think it went really well yesterday, the way it was set up. So he was saying that in the summertime, he probably wouldn't do outside vendors because it's so hot. And we're all telling him, you offer the spots. If somebody wants an outside spot, they know what they're getting into. This is Florida. They know how hot it is. They know how humid it is. And if that's what they want, is to be outside, sell the spaces. Because that was a huge, huge help yesterday. Weather was great. The canopies were out there to be seen from the road. The food truck was right there. So, yeah, I think it went well. So I got there about 8:15-ish, which, you know, you can start setting up at 8, but, you know, I'm a little over an hour away. So I start getting set up, and one of the other vendors that was there the last time that I was there, which can't remember if it's been a month or just a few weeks. All my days blend together. She wanted one of those little black and white cows that I had made one for the coordinator that he wanted to get for his mother for Mother's Day. And she'd asked if I had any more, and I didn't. So, and that was the pattern from 1 Cent Crochet. I said I wanted to have 3, but I only got 1 made. You know, such is life. So I had that one, and then I had the black and white cow that looks like it's sitting from Rosalie Toys. And I just set them on the shelves, and she comes up behind me, and I'm still trying to get my displays set up. And she says, "How much are those two?" And I turned around and looked at her, and she says, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm getting them both." So she pulls them off and sets them aside. Now, once I got finished setting up, I took them and put them back up so that I could do the before video, so you guys could see what was on my display. So let's do the before video now so you can see how it was set up. I was like, I felt so out of practice. I'm like, it didn't like just naturally flow for me yesterday. Now, it could be because I had a lot of new things with me. I had a lot of things with me and I couldn't get them all on the table, but if it would have been one of those kind of days where you're selling like crazy, I had plenty to restock with. All right, so let's look at that. Okay, so now let's look at the after and see if you notice what's not there anymore. Okay, so could you tell what was missing? Some of them were very obvious and some not so obvious. But I will insert pictures somewhere on here, if I have them, of the items that sold. I'm trying to get better at that. I'm just not great at it. But I am trying to get better at it. All right, so the first two things, like I said, was the 2 black and white cows. One from 1 Cent Crochet and one from Rosalie Toys pattern. The next thing I sold was one of my mini turtles. Then, drum roll, I sold one of my axolotls. The mini turtle and the axolotl were both my own pattern. Next up, we had one of the few kids that were in there. This family, they had two little ones. The little boy was just, he was so cute. He's trying to say all the different things, what they are, and I couldn't understand a word he was saying. Not a word of it. But they picked two of the mini birds. And the little boy couldn't decide. First he wanted a turtle, then he wanted an octopus, and then he wanted the little mini bird, and then he wanted, you know, it was just funny. But yeah, so they got two of the mini birds. And then we sold a sad hamster. So that's the second one of those I've sold. And that was that baby guinea pig pattern that I changed a little bit to make it work for a, to be a hamster. Then I sold a pink elephant. Madeline Mako pattern. Then we sold a bird on a swing. Now they asked, did I have any bees on a swing? And I'm like, no, I don't. But that's an idea. We could make a bee on a swing. The next item that sold was the Pikachu that I made. Now last time I was there, because there was another crochet vendor there, I didn't put mine out because she had hers out. Yeah, let's try and be different. So, and she had sold hers, and this time I ended up selling mine. And then when I saw what price I put on it, I was like, oh, I totally cheated myself on that. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that price. The next thing that sold was one of the large octos, and it was all from Jade's pattern. And it was like a coral color. I believe that one I made out of the toucan yarn, trying to use it up. Then another mini turtle. Then we sold one of the stingray pups in pink, and I believe it was hibiscus pink. Then that little, the couple that had the two small kids with the little boy, he was looking at the capybara, and he kept trying to say it, but it caught one of the other vendors' attention because their daughter, that's like their mascot for school or something like that. So she came over and she bought the capybara for her daughter. One other person that had children, they had a lot of kids. They had like 5 kids, I think. She was over looking at the table, and she had one of her kids with her. And she's like, oh, so-and-so would like this, and so-and-so would like this, and so-and-so would like this. And she says, you know what? I'm going to go get my kids and bring them back, and they can all pick out their own. And I'm like, that's cool. But I was a little suspicious, and probably comes from my retail brain, loss prevention that was pounded into my head all those years of working retail. I was a little suspicious, and I really hope that I'm wrong, because everybody will get burned on this one. They bought something from every single vendor that was there, all on a card. And that just made me a little suspicious. Now, I'm still fairly new to markets, and that could be something that's completely normal, but to me, it didn't seem normal. So at first I felt like, okay, I escaped this little thing that I think, which I have absolutely no proof of, but I think might have been going on. But then when she came over to my table and said she was going to bring her kids back, and I found out that she's actually a hotel guest there, they had been staying there all week, it's like, okay, the suspicions started to leave my brain, and like calmed me down a little bit. Okay, this is a legitimate transaction that's about to happen. So she comes back with her kids, and one of her daughters, and they're all girls, every one of them were girls. One of her daughters picked up the red dragon. And I was like getting excited because I'm like, oh, I'm going to sell the dragon. One of them picked out a sunflower sea turtle. One of them picked out a jelly bean bunny. And so 4 out of the 5 girls wanted something from my table. The other one wanted one of these 3D printed dragons from one of the vendors that was outside. And those things are pretty cool. I've seen them at one other market where they were set up, you know, because they're articulated, they move, and they just print them off their printers. I don't know how they do it. I'm not, I don't keep up with technology, let's just say that. So, of the 4 girls that picked something out, the sunflower turtle sold. The, one of the other sea turtles sold. And the jelly bean bunny. Now, the young lady who had the dragon, she spotted the flamingo, put that dragon down, and went straight for the flamingo. So she bought the flamingo. And I was starting to, I'm like, everybody else sells my patterns. How come I can't sell my own patterns? Now, my turtles have always done good. The axolotls are hit and miss. If there's more kids around, they sell well. But I did sell one today, or yesterday. And then I had another person come up, and they bought one of the little bees. Mine are small. They're a cheap price. You know, they're not my favorite thing to make. They're just real basic. That's why they're not my favorite. They're easy, but they're just not my favorite. And then the last couple of hours were kind of slow. And it was getting close to time to close up. And someone came up and bought the red dragon. I was so excited. But that red dragon, I took 4 with me. And the red dragon was the one that got all the attention. The other ones, that one just like, it was the one that stood out in the crowd. So the first person that was looking at it was this kid, maybe 12, 13 years old. He comes up, I have $2. How much is this? And I'm like, you need more than that. And his mom just looks at him, and they're walking away. And he's like, that's not fair. I have to save my money for this, and I have to save my money for this. And, you know, they're trying to teach him that you can't just always have everything you want. You have to save for it. So then it was the young lady with the group of the family with all the girls. And when she spotted the flamingo, she was like done with the dragon. And then it was my very last sale of the day. So that made me feel good. I was hoping to sell more, but like I said, there wasn't very many kids at all this time. But overall, it wasn't awful. I sold 20 items. I took a whole lot more than that with me. And my total sales for the day were $258. Now, I tried to like roughly add that up when I was leaving, and I thought I had done over 300. But then when I got home and I tried to balance things out, like make sure that my money matches, you know, between the cash and the cards, that it matches what I wrote down, that I didn't miss anything or, you know, anything like that. And yeah, it wasn't, I thought it was $319. I don't know what I did, you know, but I was trying to like, just add it up in the car off the top of my head. And yeah, I wasn't into mathing yesterday. Okay, so $258 total. I did $139 in square. which is more than I thought I did. And then $119 in cash. My square fees were $412. I did not have a setup fee yesterday. If I would have had it, it would have been $40. But this one was a freebie for me as kind of like, because they made a mistake and booked 2 people with the same type of product, which they try very, very hard not to do. But when somebody fills out other and they don't explain what they sell, it can happen. So now he's requiring a form and pictures, and, you know, he tries very, very hard to not have duplicate vendors, you know, so that everybody has a chance. So yeah, you take off, we'll just say the fees were $4. You take that off, it was $254. And most of the items were small, so material costs were like pretty low. Out of all of those, just roughly guessing, because, you know, and I should take the time and figure this out for you guys, because I have it all written down. I weigh them and calculate out like my material costs, but I didn't look it up. Next time I will make sure I look it up, if I remember. So, but roughly I would guess maybe $20 in materials. Maybe. Because like the mini birds, that's a scrap thing. The little turtles, that's a scrap thing. The bigger items, the dragon, that's in the flamingo, the Pikachu, those were probably the most expensive things for material costs. And the rest of them were, you know, you can get multiples out of a skein. So, that's my big market recap. And I'm all caught up on button orders. I got my new eyes in that I ordered off AliExpress from Heather's source. And I get to actually make something today. Hopefully. Not going to get too excited till I actually get hook in hand. Oh, and speaking of hooks, I ordered a Furls stainless steel hook to try with the Bernat blanket yarn. I don't know if it's going to work. I hope it does, because that's like the most money I've ever paid for one single hook. It was $26 plus shipping. So hopefully it works. I didn't get to test it out. It came in yesterday and I was so exhausted by the time I got home, I laid down and took a nap. And that was that. I'm just like, I am so tired. So I took a nap. And you wouldn't think I'd be that tired because it, you know, wasn't that busy, but I was very tired. Just, all the happenings through the week were getting to me. All right, you guys, I'm going to call it. I'm going to go and make something.